Alright, the most expensive fragrances in my collection. Last week I did the cheapest fragrances in my collection, and this is the video that you guys have asked for, the most expensive fragrances in my collection. And I've got not 20 this week, 25 of the most expensive fragrances, and I'm also going to give you their per mil price today in addition to their retail price. So if you're curious to find out the most expensive fragrances in my collection, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. We're not going to talk too much about anything at the intro of this video, but I do want to ask you, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So yes, today we're talking about the most expensive fragrances, but just before we start on this, I'm going to ask you to please go catch the cheapest fragrances video from last Saturday if you are into buying budget fragrances. But a lot of you were interested in the most expensive fragrances in my collection, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So of course, some of the fragrances that are going to be featured in this video are going to be from, you know, ROJA Parfums and luxury houses like that. But we're going to go ahead and start off with ROJA Parfums, and this is Great Britain. Probably the most expensive fragrance in my collection. I think so. So this is $1,750 suggested retail price, which works out to be about $19.03 with tax, of course, if you're buying a place where you have to pay tax. So I've factored in the per mil price with tax, of course, and so as I said, it's $19.03. So in order for you to buy a 5 ml decant of this, if you were, you'd have to pay around $80, $90 and somewhere around there. That's if the place you're buying the decant from hasn't added their markup, because it does take time to decant and things like that. This is a great chypre fragrance, a chypre leather fragrance. It's a very luxurious fragrance and probably one of the best. It has very classic touches. There's some animalic touches. I can totally pick it up as soon as I put my nose to it, but it's also very sexy. This probably has a lot of meaning for Mr. Raja Dove, and I remember him mentioning that's probably one of his favorite creations. So this is Great Britain. If you haven't caught my review of this, I do have a full review on the channel. You should go do that. So we've got a couple of different Frederic Malle fragrances on in this list, and of course the two most expensive fragrances that I have from Frederic Malle are the NIGHT and also Dawn. The NIGHT is my favorite of the two. They're different, slightly animalic smelling oud fragrances, all natural oud according to their website. And the NIGHT is pretty freaking fantastic and sexy. If you're a fan of Portrait of a Lady and you want a slightly animalic, I shouldn't say slightly, pretty animalic version of Portrait of a Lady with lots of oud minus the spices and things like that, you should check into the NIGHT. But both of them are $1,600 suggested retail, $17.40 per mil when you've factored in the tax and things like that. So you're basically paying around just under $18 per mil to try these. So if you're going to try this fragrance, they're probably at a retailer that's not like a Frederic Malle boutique or something. The place is probably going to be very skimpy on the testing. So it is quite pricey, but I absolutely love the NIGHT. I use a little bit every now and then, and it's just a little goes a long way. And it probably makes sense, sometimes some of these more expensive fragrances do last a long time and you don't need a lot of sprays. But between the two, the NIGHT is the sexy rosy oud, animalic, and then Dawn is not so animalic, but it is animalic. But it gets some smoky, incensey, kind of churchy vibes with the oud. In the end, as I said, I do prefer the NIGHT, but the Dawn is also pretty darn good if you want the incensey oud. So those are both from Frederic Malle. Next up, going back to the house of ROJA Parfums. So this is a fragrance. I think it happens to be my favorite fragrance from this house recently, ROJA Parfums. And this is Parfum de la Nuit number 3, 100 ml bottle, $1,330, which means it's $14.46 per mil price. Again, I've factored in tax here. And what's this one all about? To me, it reminds me of a couple of his other fragrances, but very sexy fragrance. It reminds me of one of the Arabic collection fragrances. Now I'm drawing a blank. There's some like musky touches in here. There's some cumin touches, lots of ambery touches and leathery touches, but very, very sexy. There's some sweet touches in there too. The sweetness kind of reminds me of something like Creation E, but not the booziness, just the sweetness from there. But overall, it has become my favorite fragrance. It's absolutely a very, very delicious and very, very sexy fragrance. So that's Parfum de la Nuit from the ROJA Parfums. It's Parfum de la Nuit number 3 actually from ROJA Parfums. Alright, so this is another ROJA Parfums fragrance, and this time it's not as expensive as the very first ROJA Parfums, but still very, very pricey. This is ROJA Parfums DIAGHILEV, 100 ml for $1,050. This one has a lot of following behind it. It's really, really great, fruity chypre, powdery as well, leathery as well. So all of those things come to mind with this one. 100 ml. $1,050, and with the tax and everything, it's $11.42 per mil when you're doing the per mil price. But it's a great, great scent. I like the inspiration of this fragrance. It's named after this Russian a person that was involved with the opera in Russia, and his appreciation for that Guerlain fragrance Mitsuko. So in the end, it's a great scent. It's on the dry side. It's fruity. It's a chypre. It's a leathery and really, really great fragrance. Is it my favorite of the 4 I've spoken about today? I've spoken about 3 so far today. It's my favorite. No, I don't think so, but it's still a really, really fantastic fragrance for what you get. It depends on mood, because this used to be my favorite, but like I said, right now Parfum de la Nuit number 3 is my absolute favorite ROJA Parfums fragrance. So this next one is much less pricey than the previous fragrances, but in the end you're not getting a 100 ml bottle, you're getting a 75 ml bottle. Its retail price is $545, and this is from the House of MEMO Paris, and this is MARFA Spices. So this turns out to be about $7.90 per mil when you factor in the tax and things like that. And this is actually a luxury edition of the original MARFA, and MARFA was all about tuberose, a very woody masculine leaning tuberose fragrance. So what they've gotten here, it's MARFA Spices, where the original was MARFA, but what they added is they've added some spices and making it a little more drier and woodier and spicier version of MARFA. If you thought MARFA was a very masculine tuberose fragrance, try this one if you wanted a little more masculine. But in the end, it's all about tuberose with all those spices and woody touches and things like that. So this is MARFA Spices. $545 is a suggested retail price, which turns out to be about $7.90 per mil. Next, going to the House of Strangelove, New York. This is Dead of Night, and this is a 100 ml bottle. No, this is the 50 ml bottle, but you can get a 100 ml bottle for $795, and it's a very, very sexy animalic. Ooh, this is Dead of Night, right? Yeah. Yes, this is Dead of Night. Sometimes I can't see without glasses on, but this is Dead of Night. So 100 ml, $7.95, so it turns out to be $8.65 per mil. But you know what? It's one of those very, very sexy Arabic, Middle Eastern, Oriental leaning ouds where it goes animalic and things like that. So it's a little goes a long way, and just a wonderful concoction if you like those animalic ouds to wear. So this is 100 ml, $7.95, $8.65 per mil, and that's Strangelove, New York, Dead of Night. A great, great name. A totally great, great name for that fragrance. I really love the name for that one. So this next one is not as expensive. This is, you know, still the ones that I just did, over $1,000 are really, really overly expensive. But this one doesn't get that high. This is from the House of Gucci, and I'm obsessed with the smell of this fragrance. This is Hortus Sanitatis. So this one, 100 ml bottles, $370, and this is a special edition that you have to buy from the Gucci boutique. So it's not sold at the other retailers that sell the collection Alchemist Garden. And the regular price for the Alchemist Garden fragrances in this size bottle are $330. This one happens to be $40 more. I don't know why they did that. So it turns out to be about $4.02 per mil. And this one, absolutely love it. It's a papyrus, I think, or cypriol, one of the two. I think it's papyrus. It smells like burned roses or smoked roses. Very, very sexy smell. I really, really love it. Because it smells like, you know, when you dry roses and it kind of have like this really dry, burned kind of a smell sometimes. Very, really concentrated. There's no real rose in here. At least I didn't see roses listed in the notes, but for me, it almost seems like or smells like barbecued roses smoked roses, burned roses, or things like that. Very, very unique fragrance. I really love it. Happens to be my favorite from this collection now. So this is HORTUS SANITATIS from the Gucci Alchemist's Garden collection. This is a pretty amazing fragrance that I have a full review of. If you haven't caught it, please do. It's from the house of Cartier in their luxury fragrances collection. This is Oud Radieux. So the 75 ml bottle, not 100 ml, is $3.50, and it turns out to be about $5.08 per ml. So not as expensive as, you know, some of the ROJAs that I was telling you about, but in the end, if it was a 100 ml bottle that they gave us, it would have been about, you know, $3.60 per ml. But because it's 75, we're paying a little more per ml price. But in the end, it's a great, great scent, and it's very, very spicy, zingy ginger. Lots of it, lots of ginger. If you like ginger, if you love ginger, you gotta check this one out. Oud is there, but the oud is almost like a back player. It's just like a, you know, secondary player, because the fragrance is all about ginger, and I think there's a little bit of a lemony touch from Sichuan pepper, because Sichuan pepper is a spicy pepper, but it has a little bit of this lemony touch in there. So in the end, lots of ginger, oud, and Sichuan pepper for a great, great concoction. It's so good, guys. If you like ginger, as I said, check this one out. This is Cartier Oud Radieux, and it's $5.08 per ml price for that one. I'm kind of jumping around in different prices here and there. This next one I felt like was pretty expensive for what you get, but you end up with a pretty darn good fragrance. And it's from the La Gemme collection from Bulgari. This is my very first fragrance from this collection, and my only fragrance from this collection. It's Tygar. It's this bottle right here. And this one happens to be about $3.55 per ml. In the end, these are no markups. If you go and buy decants from a place online, they're definitely going to have markups. I've only given you the tax on this. So basically, if you bought this bottle and you're starting to charge people, you know, doing decants and charging people, you're gonna, if you're not going to do a markup, it's going to be $3.55 per ml. So if you're doing like a 10 ml, it's going to be about $35, $36 for a 10 ml bottle. But you know what? Even though it's an expensive fragrance compared to some of the others I spoke about, it's not as expensive. But this one's all about ambroxan. It's all about grapefruit, lots of grapefruit, and I think there's some what is it? There's some musk in there as well. So in the end, there's just basically 3 notes and just a very, very sexy ambroxan bomb with a very, very bitter grapefruit note of the skin with the juice of the grapefruit. Really, really wonderful. So that's Tygar at $3.55 per ml, which basically is a 100 ml bottle for $3.26. So I recently spoke about the Le Labo City exclusives fragrances. These two are Benjoin 19 and Musk 25, and these are 100 ml bottle for $4.80. So it turns out to be about $5.22 per ml with tax. So I noticed that on their website they do have larger bottles. I think it was a 500 ml, and it was like $17.50. I think it was like that, somewhere around there. So in the end, if you buy a larger bottle, you do get to pay less, but most people don't buy those sizes. Most people buy 100. And they are refilled for a little less than $4.80, obviously. But in the end, it's $5.22 per ml, and I really love these two. If you haven't caught that video, go catch it. It's a recent one. And pretty soon you won't be able to buy these from anywhere that sells Le Labos, because you'll have to go to the cities that they're named after. Benjoin 19 is Moscow, Musk 25 is Los Angeles, but Musk 25 to me is like an animalic and clean musk together. So it's a very, very beautiful, sexy combination of clean musk with animalic musk. Wonderful stuff. I love it. And Benjoin 19, it seems like a very, very woody, gummy resin of benzoin, but it's not as sweet as other benzoin fragrances, and I feel like the woods and whatever notes that are in there kind of like calming down the sweetness, unless they're kind of like stripped away some of the sweetness. So if you don't like sweet fragrances but you like the idea of resins and benzoin, you should check this one out. It's Benjoin 19 and Musk 25, both at 100 ml for $4.80. It turns out to be $5.22 per ml. So there's a house called Parfums DUSITA, and the first 3 fragrances they released were priced 50 ml for $350. So in the end, when you factor in, this is ISSARA, this is one of the 3 fragrances. I think it was Melody d'Amour, Oud Infini, and ISSARA. They came out at 50 ml, Extrait de Parfum 350, so it factors in at about $7.61 per ml. So it's pretty pricey, but very, very wonderful fragrance. I really love this one, and it's kind of like a fougere with amber. So if you like the idea of man's barbershoppy fougere fragrance with a warm honeyed amber running throughout the whole fragrance, then I recommend this one to you. There's a gentle touch about this. It's not aggressive at all. It's just the softness about it is really, really wonderful. But again, it's just that wonderful barbershop kind of smell with the honeyed amber running throughout it. That's my experience with it, and I really, really love it. So Parfums DUSITA ISSARA 50 ml bottle, $3.50, so it turns out to be about $7.61 for per mil price. So this next one is from the house of NISHANE, and it's NEFS, this one right here. And this one, it happens to be the most expensive NISHANE in my collection. 50 ml bottle for $5.70, and so it turns out to be about $12.40 per mil. And NEFS is a very, very potent concoction. Lots of things happening here, lots of resins, ouds, there's some green touches in here, and there's ambery touches as well for a very, very potent experience. So for me, it's overwhelming, like extremely overwhelming, and a little goes a long way, and you only need a little bit. So for me, it also kind of reminds me of citronella a little bit, some of the stuff when I wear it. So on me, I love the smell of citronella, especially when I pick the leaves and smell them. So I kind of like that with this particular fragrance. There's an astringency about it, but in the end, it's very, very intense. If you like intense fragrances, you should definitely check out NEFS. And this bottle is pretty darn amazing. I love it. I love that whole coating thing happening on this bottle. So that's NEFS from the house of NISHANE, 50 ml bottles for $5.70. So it turns out to be about $12.40 per mil. So this fragrance happens to be a very, very popular fragrance. In fact, I've done several videos about this fragrance. The last one I did was called BACCARAT Rouge 540 Babies. This is the XERJOFF version, which retails for $425. 70 ml bottle, $6.80 per mil. There is a larger bottle, which I do not own, and that one seems to be about $700, somewhere around there. So it is a lot pricier, but I think you get 200 mils versus 70, and 70 mils $425. So it is an expensive bottle here in my collection. So in the end, it's $6.80 per mil, but when you factor in the 200 mil at a higher price, the per mil price will be lower. But this one, everybody knows about this one. If you haven't caught my BACCARAT Rouge Babies, BACCARAT Rouge 540 Babies video, you should, where I speak about this one and also the original, and then I also give you many, many alternatives to this particular fragrance where a lot of brands have copied, not copied, inspired, whatever you want to call it, and have created their own versions. But in the end, it's all about ambroxan. This one has this almond-y touch, which I don't pick up too much almonds. There's some saffron, there's some jasmine, but very, very sexy fragrance. So BACCARAT Rouge 540 X-Ray 70 ml $425, which turns out to be about $6.80 per mil. There's a fragrance that I bought early on this journey, and I still have little bits of it left. It was called the Creed Refill promotion, and basically they were letting you take a 50 milliliter bottle of Creed's Windsor, the vaulted fragrance, for $450. I ended up buying it. This was back in 2013, and I still have a little, well, not a little bit, a lot left. But this cost me $450. So it turns out to be about $9.68 per mil. Very, very pricey, but a great, great scent. This is a great scent. It's a gin with roses and eucalyptus. In the end, they actually made Royal Mayfair, but you know, when you compare them side by side, there are differences. They're close though. So in the end, I prefer Creed's Windsor. It's a lot sexier, but it's also a lot pricier, and it's of course vaulted. You can't really get it. But $450, $9.68 per mil with when you factor in the taxes, of course. So there's a fragrance I have in 50 ml bottle, but when you factor in the 100 ml bottle, it's $625. It's from the house of XERJOFF, and it's Pico Via Dama. So it's retailing for $625 in the 100 ml, so it turns out to be about $6.80 per mil price. And this is a fantastic fragrance, guys, if you love yourself the aldehydes. So in the end, there is that very, very aldehydic fizzy touch. But what a gorgeous scent. It's like luxury to the max. If you like fragrances like not Kelly, but Kalesh from Hermes, Chanel No. 5, and anything in that ballpark of aldehydes, and you want the luxury edition of it, this is it right here. It is so beautiful, really, really wonderful. There's some warm touches in there, almost like ambers running throughout it, perhaps labdanum or something like that. So there is a gooiness in there. But what the aldehydes do to this fragrance is gives it that lift, the sparkle, so it doesn't come on or where like it's heavy, because sometimes ambers do have that heaviness because they just get really syrupy and sappy and things like that. But the aldehydes in here, which are fantastic, just totally give it a lift and just make it like a lighter experience, even though there's this like denseness about it. So such a great scent. I think this is one of my favorite fragrances from XERJOFF, because I like the whole classic touch. As I was growing up, my mom's friends and relatives all had perfumes on of these aldehydic smells that I kind of like totally takes me back. And now this is fantastic. Anyway, this is XERJOFF's Pico Valladama, 100 ml, 625, so basically 680 per mil. So this next fragrance is from the house of Nila Vermeer, and this is Mohour Extrait, this one right here. So this one retails for 50 ml bottle for $445, which turns out to be about $9.68 per mil. So this is very pricey, but this is also Extrait de Parfum, so Mohour Extrait is what it's called. And with this one, it's very rosy and irisy, and there's some light leathery touches in there and some sandalwood and things like that. In the end, it's a very rosy, sandalwoody, iris, slight leathery combination, but a beautiful scent. If you like the idea of you know, just roses with beautiful base like sandalwood and, you know, some powdery touches of iris and slight leathery touches, and there are some light fruity nuances in here as well, then you're going to definitely want to check out this particular fragrance from Nila Vermeer. And the bottle is beautiful, as you can see. So that is Nila Vermeer's Mohour Extrait. This next one is from the house of Fragrance du Bois. This is Eau Jaune Intense, this one right here. So this one I've spoken quite a bit about, and it's a 100 ml bottle for $651. So turns out to be about $7.08 per mil. So in the end, this is a very islandy, tropical smell with tropical flowers and things like that. And there's fruits in here like pineapple and things like that. So, you know, the oud is not intense. Eau Jaune Intense, the oud is kind of like, oh, not even secondary, it's like a third player. So it's not the highlight, it's the fruits and the tropical flowers, actually tropical fruits and tropical flowers that are like really running the show. And it's a really concentrated experience, so you gotta love those kind of flowers. It's really kind of slightly suntan lotiony flowers and those tropical fruits, and I think there's pineapple in here as well to kind of like appreciate this fragrance. But if you like those kind of fragrances, you're really gonna like this, because it almost feels like an island getaway. But it's an intense, potent, beast mode, white floral, yellow floral combo fruity fragrance. So this is Fragrance du Bois Eau Jaune Intense, 100 ml bottle, $651, so per mil price is $7.08. Let me know if you guys have tried any of these fragrances that I've talked about today so far. I've got 5 more left. Again, this is longer than normal, but you guys like watching videos. So this next fragrance is from the house of Fong Dang, and this is a fragrance called Artist, this one right here. So Artist is a great slightly leathery, fresh leathery fragrance, and with this one there's some smoky touches and incense, things like that in here as well, but there's some light fruity nuances and then also some citruses. But this one retails for $500, 100 ml, so it turns out to be about $544 per mil. Again, these per mil prices include tax, and if you are off to buy decants from some place that sells decants, they're probably going to be a markup on there. So in order for you to get this price, you're going to have to buy it directly from people that are doing like splitting and things like that. So anyway, Fong Dang Artist is a great scent. In fact, I love this house. A lot of the fragrances are created by Bertrand Duchaffour, and I really appreciate this particular concoction. But this is probably one of the more expensive fragrances from this house. That their oud is really pricey. It's like over $700, and some of their other bottles are around $400, but this one I have and I wanted to highlight it for you. But if you like the fruity, light citrusy, slightly floral, smoky kind of combination of notes with some sandalwood and things like that, then definitely try Artist. I think you'd really like that one. Alright, this next one is from the house of Tiziano Terenzi, and recently I did the first impressions of their Sea Stars collection, and this one happens to be the most expensive out of that collection. It's the Atlantide and the Underwater fragrance that's in here like this. So this is 100 ml for $725, and it's $788 per mil. And what's this one all about? It's a beautiful white floral fragrance. It's not necessarily really smelling like aquatic and things like that. So a lot of the fragrances in this collection don't smell aquatic. They don't to me. There might be some light hints, but that's not what the fragrances are about. In fact, it's the bottles featuring the sea stars on top of them. I'm not going to take this one out because it's in the water, as you can see, but if you are interested in finding out more about that fragrance, check out my first impressions video and stay tuned for a review of one of the 5 fragrances from this collection. But Atlantide is selling for a 100 ml bottle at $7.25, so $7.88 per ml. And I've got one more fragrance from Tiziana Terenzi. It's a fragrance called Velorum, 100 ml bottle for, I couldn't get a dollar price, 720 euros. So in the end, I'm giving you 783 euros per mil for this one. So just factor in, you know, a conversion rate of something that it would convert to current prices today. But Velorum, my God, it is so good. It's a very, very sweet, ambery, fruity concoction with woody undertones. Very, very delicious, very, very long lasting, because all fragrances from Tiziana Terenzi are extrait de parfum concentration, so a little goes a long way. But if you love fruits, and I know that they do, Tiziana Terenzi does fruits wonderfully, then you're definitely going to love Velorum. So anyway, 100 ml bottle, 720 euros, 783 euro per mil. So this is a fragrance from a house called Royal Crown, and this is Itzma, and this retails for 495 for 100 ml. Love the bottles, love the crown. But Itzma is a very, very leathery fragrance. It's like a ambery leather fragrance with a little bit of a sour touch to it. So the leather is not overly animalic, but a little bit on the pungent side. The amber part is not necessarily sweet, so the fragrance experience to me seems ambery, but it is more savory. But what this one is, a 100 ml bottle for $4.95, and it's $5.38 per ml. So it's not overly expensive, but I thought these were at one time a little more expensive, but currently I saw online for $4.95. And I love these bottles. They're beautiful, as you can see. So this is Itzma from Royal Crown, and it is $4.95 for 100 ml, which turns out to be about $5.38 per ml. All right, this next one is from the house of the Harmonist, and this is Yin Transformation. And this happens to be a 50 ml bottle, so it retails for $3.05. So if it was 100 ml, it would be $6.10. So in the end, you're paying $6.63 per mil price, and that's factoring the tax. And this one actually, it's a very, very, very watery but intensely watery orchid note. It's a flower, not necessarily like ultra strong in the smell of this flower. So in the end, it's a watery fragrance, lightly floral, some light woody touches, and some musk in there, but overdose of it, an intense concentration of it. I really love this. It's a freshie, but an intense concentrated freshie. So very, very long lasting freshie. If you like the idea of this like light floral fragrance with watery touches, not aquatic, not marine, but watery touches, then this is definitely one for you to try. Harmonist Yin Transformation 50 ml bottle is $3.05, so it turns out to be $6.63 per ml. And last but not least, I've got a Clive Christian. Should have one in my most expensive collection. Clive Christian X Twist Bay Rose 50 ml bottle for $3.85. Turns out to be about just under $7 per ml. So what's this one all about? For me, this one is mostly about pink pepper. It's pink pepper with light touches of rose, woody touches and things like that. So in the end, it's slightly rosy, slightly pink peppery, and very, very woody in the combination. So they used to have a saffron one, and I ran out of it. I absolutely loved that one. It was a little more expensive. It was a limited edition. I wish they'd bring that one back. This one, I enjoy it, but it wasn't like, oh my God, it's my favorite. I was kind of talked into buying this one by a sales associate. So I have it, but you know, it's not one that I gravitate towards a lot, but their saffron was phenomenal. Sadly, it's gone. Anyway, this one is Clive Christian's X Twist Bay Rose, 50 ml bottles, $3.85. So it turns out to be around $7 per ml. Anyway, those are my most expensive fragrances. I know this video was longer than normal. I think some of you complained that my videos are too long. Well, I'm sorry that they're too long. Those of you that like longer videos, please do write down and let me know that you like the long videos. And also let me know, what do you think about these fragrances? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Are they too expensive? Which one do you own? Which one would you like to own? Which one you would never own? Which one you don't want to even think about? Let me know, because some of you were complaining about some of my videos recently when they were too expensive. But anyway, please put some comments down so I can find out. And if there are fragrances that you have that are really, really expensive that I should check out, please put a comment down so I can find out. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. So this next one is from the house of NISHANE, and this is Nefs, this one right here.